My name is Harold Bennett, and before everything fell apart, I lived a life so quiet, I didn't realize how dangerous loneliness could be. I'm 55 years old, and I've spent more than half of those years learning how to get by with a body that doesn't always obey me. I walk with a cane, my back stiffens if I sit too long, and my hands shake sometimes when the pain hits the bones. Every month, the only thing keeping me afloat is my Social Security disability check. It's not much, but I learned how to stretch it. Cheap groceries, old clothes, reuse what you can, ignore what you can't afford. Life gets small when you live alone, and for me, it got so small it felt like I was shrinking inside of it. My days always looked the same. I'd wake up to the same cracked ceiling, shuffle to the kitchen, make the same instant coffee, sit in my old chair by the window, and watch the world move without me. People laugh when I say this, but sometimes I'd sit so long without hearing another human voice that I'd forget what my own sounded like. I didn't have family checking in. I didn't have friends dropping by. No wife, no kids, no one calling my name, just Harold in an apartment made of quiet. And the thing about quiet is, it doesn't stay peaceful. Not forever. Some nights it turns heavy. It sits on your chest. It whispers things. It makes you wonder if anyone would notice if you disappeared. I think that loneliness, that emptiness I fought every night, that's what made me vulnerable. That's what made me easy to reach. Because one night, I got a message. A simple one from one app I created to scroll through and stay entertained with different videos. Nothing dramatic, just, "Hello, I hope you're doing okay tonight." At first I thought it was spam, one of those automated bot messages, but something about it felt human. So I typed back, "I'm managing, thank you." A few seconds passed, then she responded, "My name is Lily. I saw your profile. You seem kind." Kind. When you haven't heard a compliment in years, just one word can feel like someone handed you a warm blanket in the cold. We started talking, slow at first, just small conversations, weather, life, my day, her day. She told me she lived alone too. She told me she understood what it felt like to have no one. Her words always felt gentle, thoughtful, like she was paying attention to what I said, not just waiting to talk. Every morning she'd message me, "Good morning, Harold. Did you sleep all right?" Every night, "I'm heading to bed now. I hope you rest well." I didn't realize how much I needed that, how much a voice, even a digital one, can fill an empty room. Weeks went by, and she became part of my routine, sometimes the best part of my routine. I'd wake up excited to see her name pop up on my screen. I'd check my phone before my coffee, before my pain medication, before anything. She made me feel like someone cared whether I was alive. That's a dangerous feeling when you've been alone too long. We shared stories. I told her about my disability, how I hurt my back years ago at work. I told her about my struggles with bills, my long, dull days, my fears about aging alone. She never judged, never made me feel pitiful. She always had a way of turning my fears into softness. She'd say things like, "You're strong. You deserve better. I'm here for you."
And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? For the first time in years, someone actually wanted to listen. The more I shared, the more she shared. She told me she was younger than me, 32. She said she'd been unlucky in love. She said she wanted connection, trust, something real. She even called me her comfort person. I know how that sounds, a grown man being moved by words on a screen. But when you spend years being invisible, being seen hits like sunlight after a long winter. And little by little, I started saving her messages, screenshots, little notes she sent. I'd reread them when the apartment felt too quiet. She made me feel alive in a way I had forgotten I could feel. But there were small things, tiny things, that I should have noticed. Like how she never video called me, how her camera was always broken, how her microphone never worked, how she said she was shy about showing her face. Red flags, bright ones, waving fast. But when your heart is hungry, even danger looks like love. So I ignored the doubts. I ignored the moments that felt off. I ignored the excuses. Because losing her felt more terrifying than being wrong. Then one day, after months of talking, she said something that changed everything. She said, "Harold, you're the only person who checks on me every day. You're the only one who cares how I'm doing. I wish everyone had someone like you." I stared at those words for so long.
Long enough that my phone dimmed, and I had to tap the screen just to keep looking at them. "You're the only one who cares how I'm doing. I wish everyone had someone like you." Nobody had said anything close to that to me in years, maybe decades. And that was the moment something inside me shifted. I didn't feel alone. Not completely. Not anymore. From that night forward, Lily wasn't just someone I chatted with. She became the first thought in my morning and the last comfort before I closed my eyes. The next morning at 7:12 a.m., I woke up to a message. "Good morning, Harold. I dreamt you hugged me last night. It felt safe." Safe. It was strange how quickly that word wrapped around me, like I was suddenly important, valued, wanted. Her messages got longer, warmer, more personal. She'd tell me she missed me when I didn't reply fast enough. She'd tell me she worried when I didn't check in. And before I knew it, I started adjusting my whole day around when she might message. I didn't even realize it was happening. But then, little shadows began to appear. Nothing huge, nothing alarming, just enough to tug at a corner of my mind. Some days she said she lived alone. Other days she mentioned a cousin staying with her. Once she said she lived with her mother, and then later slipped and said her mother died years ago. When I asked about the contradiction, gently, she sent, "I told you things get mixed up when I'm stressed. Please don't think I'm lying. You mean too much to me." And just like that, the doubt evaporated, replaced by guilt, by fear that I had upset her. She started sharing her struggles too, always in soft, subtle drops. "I'm so tired. I skipped lunch. Things are tight. My power bill is overdue, but I'm trying to stay positive. Please don't worry. I'll manage." And I would always reply the same way. "Do you need help?" I didn't have much, but giving her $20 here, $30 there, it made me feel needed. It made me feel useful again. She always responded with lines that hit me like blessings. "You're my angel.
No one has ever been this good to me. I don't know how I survived before you. And the truth is, I didn't know how to pull back. She made me feel alive. As the weeks passed, she began imagining a future with me. Not directly at first, just little hints. If I lived near you, I'd make you real breakfast. We'd watch movies together. You wouldn't feel lonely anymore. Then it grew bolder. One day, maybe I'll be in your arms for real. For a man who had spent so long invisible, that kind of affection was intoxicating. But the red flags, they were getting brighter. Her phone, apparently, had every problem known to mankind. One day she said it kept shutting off. The next, she said her screen wouldn't light up. Then she said she lost her charger. Then she said the battery died after 10 minutes. It was always something. Once, she mentioned she had just paid her phone bill, but the next day she said she hadn't paid it yet. I asked her gently about it, and she sent, "Please don't be mad. I've just been overwhelmed. I get things confused when I'm anxious." And there it was again, that twist of guilt in my chest, that feeling that I needed to protect her. So I apologized for asking a question, for doubting the only person who made me feel seen. And then, late one night, she dropped something new, something that felt heavier than the rest. She said, "Sometimes I get scared about the future." I replied, "What do you mean?" She waited, then wrote, "You know, you and I, we're good for each other. You understand me more than anyone else does. Then, I just want someone who can take care of me, and someone I can take care of too." I read that message over and over again. Her words wrapped around my heart and tightened. I didn't know it then, but this is exactly where dependency becomes a trap. Then she sent the message that changed everything. "There's someone who helps people like us. Someone who can make your life easier. He lives around here and helped many seniors. Can I introduce you to him?" Her tone was calm, warm, loving, but something about it, something about the way she phrased it, it felt like a door opening, a door I didn't recognize, a door I shouldn't have stepped through. But I did, because at that moment, I believed Lily would never hurt me. And that belief, that blind, desperate belief, was the beginning of everything that destroyed me.
At first, it confused me. Help me with what? Then she explained. She said there was a man, Mark, someone she trusted, someone she said worked with the government on financial benefit cases. She told me he'd helped her friend's father fix his disability paperwork. She said he knew how to unlock missing payments, correct benefit errors, and navigate complicated government systems. I remember sitting there staring at my phone, my chest tightening. Because for months I had been telling her about my late checks, my back pay that never arrived, my fear that one day the system might cut me off. So when she said, "I talked to him about you, and he wants to help," I didn't question why she had talked about me to someone else. I didn't question how this person supposedly knew anything about federal agencies. I didn't question anything. Because she sounded excited, hopeful, like she believed this was a good thing for me. And when someone you care about believes in something, sometimes you borrow their confidence, even when you shouldn't. A few minutes later, she forwarded me a number. "This is Mark. He'll guide you through everything. Just trust him, okay?"
I typed back, "Are you sure about this?" And she replied, "I wouldn't introduce you to anyone who'd hurt you. You're too important to me." Important, that word again. It wrapped around my heart like a warm hand. So, I messaged him. I expected something official, government-like, cold, professional. But he wrote back almost instantly. "Hello, Harold. Lily speaks very highly of you." It didn't sound like a government worker, but I told myself maybe he was just friendly. Not everyone in the world wears a suit in their messages. Then he asked for simple things at first: my full name, my date of birth, the type of benefits I received. Nothing I hadn't filled out 1,000 times on federal forms. He said he needed to verify my case. He talked with confidence, used official words like evaluation period, delayed credits, and overlooked qualification reviews. He even sent me a list of steps he said we'd go through. It looked organized, structured, legit. And with Lily by my side saying, "He helped before. I promise he can help again." I let my guard down. Soon Mark told me that new accounts needed to be opened to secure my benefits and prevent delays. None of it made sense to me, but every time I hesitated, Lily stepped in. She'd say, "Harold, please, I don't want you to lose your disability checks. He knows what he's doing." Her concern felt real, like she was protecting me. So I followed the steps, opened accounts, signed forms he sent, provided documents he said were required. And slowly, I felt myself sinking deeper into something I didn't understand. But what made it worse was how much Lily started acting like she needed me too. She would message things like, "I don't know what I'd do without you. You're the only person who makes me feel safe. I trust Mark. Please trust him for me." It all blended together. Her affection, his instructions, my hope that maybe life was finally turning around. But deep down, somewhere quiet inside, I felt a shift, a heaviness. A small voice whispering, "Something doesn't feel right." But I ignored it, because Lily kept telling me everything was okay. She kept feeding me comfort, while Mark fed me paperwork. And while I believed I was moving toward stability, I was actually walking straight into a storm. A storm they had both built for me. But I wouldn't see it. Not yet. Not until it was too late. I didn't see the storm forming, not until the first crack in the sky finally reached me. It started quietly. A letter from Social Security saying my next payment might be temporarily delayed due to account changes. Account changes? I hadn't changed anything. Except, I remembered what Mark said about system updates. So I messaged him. He replied fast, almost too fast. "Yes, that's normal, Harold. The transition is processing. Do not worry." But I did worry, because 2 days later, I got another notice. A new loan application was submitted under my name. I never applied for any loan. My stomach twisted. I tried asking Mark, and he sent this long explanation about temporary credit checks, benefit verifications, and identity confirmations required by the federal system. The message was complicated, so complicated I felt embarrassed for not understanding. And then Lily stepped in. She said, "It's okay, Harold. Mark knows these processes. This is all just paperwork noise. Don't stress yourself." Noise. That's what she called it. But the noise kept growing. Emails from banks I didn't use. Statements I didn't recognize. A new credit card I had never opened.
I felt like the world was shifting under my feet. But every time fear hit me, Lily softened it. She kept saying, "You're almost at the finish line. Just stay calm." She was more affectionate than ever, checking on me constantly, sending little heart emojis, telling me she cared. And I didn't know it then, but that was manipulation wrapped in comfort. Because while she soothed me, Mark pushed harder. He told me my verification was nearly complete, but he needed access to the new accounts, just so he could synchronize the updates. I didn't know what that meant, but I trusted him because she trusted him. That was the hook, the one I never saw. Then the next blow hit me even harder. I woke up one morning and checked my bank app, and my balance was nearly zero. Not low, not short. Zero. Everything gone. I felt the room spin. I messaged Mark in a panic. He said, "Funds are being temporarily held for reprocessing." Reprocessing. That word sounded official, but nothing about this felt official anymore. Then I messaged Lily. She didn't respond for almost 3 hours. When she finally did, she said, "Harold, please don't panic. You're scaring me. Mark said this is normal. Just wait. For me. Please." Her tone had changed. She sounded nervous, emotional. But not because of what I lost. More like she was afraid I'd start asking the wrong questions. And at that moment, I noticed something in her messages I had never seen before. Pressure. Every message was a push to trust, a push to stay quiet, a push to obey. It was subtle, then it wasn't. She said, "You're making this stressful for me. Why don't you trust the people trying to help you? If you doubt me, maybe I shouldn't have introduced you to Mark." Suddenly, I felt guilty. Like I had done something wrong. Like I was the problem. I didn't realize it was a tactic. Guilt, confusion, emotional fog. Meanwhile, the debt that I didn't know they created under my name was already growing. My credit alert buzzed non-stop. More loans, more accounts, more damage. The walls were closing in. But I still didn't see the full picture. Not yet. Because Lily was still there, sending long messages, telling me everything was normal, telling me the government just needed time. And I was holding on to her words like a lifeline, while everything else in my life was falling apart. But the collapse, the real collapse, was waiting for me just around the corner. The moment that would shatter everything. I reached the point where I just couldn't breathe anymore. Something inside me whispered, "Go to the bank. Ask. Find out." So I did. I took my cane, put on my old jacket, and walked outside with my heart pounding like it wanted to break free from my ribs. When I reached the bank, I felt embarrassed just walking through the doors, like I already knew something terrible was waiting for me on the other side. I sat down with a representative, a young woman who looked confused before I even finished explaining. I told her, "I think something strange is happening with my account. My benefits are delayed, money is missing, and there are loans under my name that I didn't take." She typed for a long time. Her expression changed, once, then again, and my stomach dropped lower and lower and lower. Finally, she turned the screen toward me, and my whole world collapsed. There were accounts linked to my Social Security number that I had never seen, loans in my name I had never applied for, applications for benefits I didn't even know existed.
It wasn't one mistake. It wasn't a glitch. It was a pattern, a plan, a crime. The bank rep spoke gently, like someone delivering news to a grieving family. "Mr. Bennett, someone has been using your identity for months."
My hands, they went cold. My chest tightened so hard I thought I might faint. I whispered, "But she told me it was all part of the process, for the benefits." The rep looked at me with pity. "Sir, whoever told you that was lying." It felt like someone pulled the floor out from under me. Everything Lily ever told me, everything I trusted, everything I gave, all of it cracked open in a single moment. I wasn't her comfort person. I wasn't special. I was a target, a vulnerable old man who trusted the wrong person. My throat tightened, my eyes burned. I could barely speak. The rep said to me softly, "Sir, this is fraud. You need to contact someone who can help." And just like that, the illusion shattered. The woman I had opened my heart to, the woman I trusted with my life, was nothing more than a thief with a pretty story. I walked out of the bank with my cane shaking in my hand. My legs were weak. My chest ached. And for the first time in a long time, I felt truly, completely alone. That was the moment I finally accepted it. Lily was never real. The love was never real. The future she promised was never real. Everything had been a scam. And I didn't even know the worst part yet. Because once I made the report, once I told the bank everything, once the fraud department got involved, that's when I was connected to the investigator. That's when the real story began. But at that moment, standing outside the bank with my world in dust, I had no idea how big this was, or how far it reached, or how dark it was going to get. I never thought I'd feel safe again. Not after the bank. Not after seeing how deep the lies ran. Not after realizing someone I loved was nothing but a stranger with a plan. But the investigators, Daniel and his team, they took control. And for the first time, I wasn't alone in this. They told me, "Harold, from now on, we handle all communication. Do not respond to her again. Do not try to fix it yourself. We've set everything up so we can trace her. We'll get the people behind this." I nodded, not because I understood everything, but because I had no other choice. The next messages came from Lily, soft, urgent, manipulative, trying to pull me back in. But every time she typed, the investigators typed back in my tone, keeping her calm, keeping her thinking she still had control. Then came the request, the final request. Her iPhone, her broken phone, the one she needed so badly she claimed she couldn't continue without it. I held my breath as the investigators explained the plan. They'd send the phone with a tracker hidden inside. Every movement, every handoff, we would see. I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. Finally, the hunter could become the hunted. The phone was shipped to an address Lily had given, a man she thought would be her mule. We watched the tracker. Every second, every mile, every turn. 2 days later, it moved, faster now, to an airport, toward Nigeria. And that's when the investigators told me, "Harold, we're close. The person receiving the phone will lead us straight to them." It wasn't long before the authorities approached the man who had received the package.
He thought he was safe, just a small part of someone else's plan. But under questioning, he broke. He confessed. He named names. He told how he worked with Lily, how he received money, how he took a percentage and helped her cover her tracks. And just like that, everything unraveled. Lily, Mark, the web they had spun, the lies, the theft, the manipulation, all came crashing down. The man who received the phone was arrested. The investigators coordinated with law enforcement. The people behind my pain, my stolen benefits, my ruined credit, were finally being held accountable. I sat in my apartment that night, my hands shaking from exhaustion and relief, because finally, the darkness lifted a little. I thought about all the messages I saved, all the times I believed her words, all the nights I cried silently into my pillow, wondering if anyone would ever care. I had been lonely. I had been weak. I had been vulnerable. But I had survived, and in a way, so had the truth. I want everyone listening to hear this. Scammers like Lily and Mark, they are everywhere. They prey on loneliness. They prey on trust. They prey on people like me. But they are not untouchable. They can be found. They can be stopped. And justice eventually catches up. So if you are watching this, if you felt the same loneliness I did, if someone has tried to take advantage of your trust, remember my story and subscribe to the channel that allows me to tell my stories, Scammers Karma. Because knowledge is power. Awareness can save lives. And maybe, just maybe, it can save someone from the same fate I endured. I am Harold Bennett. I survived. And now, I hope my story helps someone else survive too.